All right. Good afternoon, everyone. We are so excited to have you all here and welcome you for our Dodge College Meet the Deans. My name is Priscilla Campos. I'm the Associate Director of Admission for Dodge, and I will also be your host for tonight. We want to start off by welcoming Dean Stephen Galloway, and he will talk to you a little bit about his vision, his goals for the college, and then we'll have some questions for our panelists and our associate deans. So please feel free to type in your questions in the chat box below. We have staff that will be able to answer your questions in the chat, and then also we will answer some of your questions live. So with that being said, I'd like to welcome and introduce our Deans of Dodge College. Let's go ahead and get started, Stephen, by having you introduce yourself.
Thank you. So hi, everybody. I'm Stephen, and I, like you, am brand new to Dodge. I started here 6 months ago. When I say started here, I've been sitting at home because of the pandemic. But I actually went to my office today and checked out everything we're doing to make sure that we are COVID-free. And we've taken enormous care about that. And it's symptomatic of what makes this film school unique, which is there's a level of care for the faculty, for the staff, for the students that I really think is unique. I came from England. I went to 2 film schools. I dropped out of one. I was happy at the other, but I wasn't in love with it. And that has given me an extraordinary education about what we should be doing. I came here 6 months ago after being the executive editor of the Hollywood Reporter magazine, which ranks the film schools. I created those rankings. So I'm very well aware of what a film school should deliver. And one of the first things I did when we started was commission a survey of our graduating students to say, what do you like? What do you not like? 2 words kept coming through: community and collaboration. So if you want that, if you want a friendly atmosphere, if you want to be part of a group, this is the place. If you are a solo fighter determined to take that fighter plane to war on your own, this isn't right for you. And it's incredibly important for you to choose the place that's right for you. If you like that, you will not be in a friendly and happier place. And we had astonishing levels of happiness from our graduating students. So I've come in, and my thinking about management is always build on strength. Let's take what we do best and build on that. So we are increasing what we do to have the students collaborating. We're increasing what we do to have the faculty care about the students. And I've come in with 3 main goals. One is to really increase our connection to Hollywood. And when I say Hollywood, I don't mean just big tentpole Avengers-like movies and the people who make them. Anybody in the film and media community. Secondly, to really increase diversity, because that is the world we are entering more and more. We will have to be exposed to other ideas and other communities and learn from them and work with them. And as you move forward into having a career, it's going to be incredibly important to reach these different groups. And the third one is to modernize our curriculum so it's really the most cutting edge and prepares you the best for when you leave here and get a job, which is what we all want you to do and your parents want you to do. So you're going to find a few things. You're arriving hopefully at a good time. We have initiated a few things that I think are unique to this university. The first one is we are building the best careers office of any film school. We put 2 people in charge of it. One of them is a very distinguished agent who had major clients like David Fincher, who directed The Social Network. And we're planning to make that the best careers office of any film school. For internships, advice, resumes, workshops, finding a job, liaising with our alumni. Secondly, we're going to make sure every student who comes in the next 2 years, we're creating a whole new program where every freshman will have an older student as a mentor. Because it's terrible when you start in a place and you don't know anybody, you don't know what decisions to make, you don't know who the good professors are. They're all pretty good, but you know what I mean. We want you always to feel somebody's holding your hand. And finally, in terms of the Hollywood connection, we just launched this semester the Chapman Masterclasses. And you will get to meet Judd Apatow, the director of The Farewell. We, at 6 o'clock today, have the biggest agent in Hollywood, Richard Lovett, who's talking to everybody. And this is a completely unique thing we're doing. And I actually want to offer all of you the chance to come and sit through one of those. The entire faculty put these together, and the faculty is doing the questions and answers with those guests. And this way you can see for yourself one of the things we offer. You're going to meet the chairman of one of the studios, the most powerful woman in Hollywood, Donna Langley. You'll meet the Oscar-winning director, editor of Argo. You'll meet the former White House press spokesperson. You'll meet Damon Lindelof, who did The Watchmen and Lost. So if you want to see what one's like, email Priscilla and we will give you an invitation to one. I hope you will apply. I hope you will come here. Any of us is available for questions if you want to email us. Priscilla will give you our emails. Mine is sgalloway@chapman.edu. Parents, feel free to email me. Students, feel free to email me. And hopefully this is the beginning of a long relationship. So thanks for taking part in this. Thank you, Priscilla, for organizing it. And I'm actually going to leave you to welcome our masterclass guest. And then I'm going to come back just after 6 o'clock. So see you a bit later. Bye, everybody.
Thank you, Stephen. All right, I'll let the other associate deans introduce themselves. I'm going to start with who's on my screen. So Dan, do you mind going first?
Sure. Hi, I'm Dan Leonard. I'm an associate dean, and I sort of overlook technology and production here at the school. Really excited to hear you all. It's kind of weird not to be able to see everyone, but looking forward to answering your questions.
Awesome. Pavel, do you mind going next?
Hello, everybody. Welcome to Chapman. We regret also that it's not in person, but we're getting by virtually. We're still continuing our passion for education, our passion for creativity. All that continues. We hope very much that throughout this country and throughout the world that by the time you do come to school, we'll be all in person again. My name is Pavel, and I'm an associate dean for academics here at Dodge.
Michael?
Yeah, hello. Thank you for joining us. My name is Michael Kowalski. I am the Senior Associate Dean, and I'm in charge of curriculum and faculty development, and I work very closely with Dan Leonard and Pavel. Thank you for coming.
Awesome. So I'll start off by asking you guys the first questions. How would you describe the environment at Dodge?
I guess I'll go first. You know, I think what attracted me, and I've been here 20 years, actually Dan's been here longer than me, but I remember when I first applied 20 years ago, we were a much smaller school, especially the film school. I think we had about 400 students, and I found it to be a very intimate place, very personal. I think I knew most of the students. We were in a smaller building, and so I loved that, the contact with the students. I kind of felt that you know, there was this concept of a personalized education, and I felt that it wasn't just a kind of a slogan, but it was actually true. I mean, that we were encouraged to interact and to work very closely with the students. And I felt that I kind of established some really great relationships with students. Some of them I still know today. They've gotten much older, but it's nice to see how they've grown in their careers and as individuals. But the interesting thing is I feel that, like, you know, what is it, 20 years later, probably 1,100 students larger. We're now at 1,500, I think close to 1,600 when you factor in minors and everyone. There's still very much, I feel, that spirit, that culture of you know, personalized education where, you know, we really care about our students. The faculty really cares about our students. We tell our students that you don't have one mentor. All our faculty are your mentors. You know, please feel free to talk to any of them. and I will answer emails on a regular basis about usually things that might not be that important, but I just like that connection with the students. I like to solve problems, so I don't feel like there's any problem that's kind of below me, or any student or any situation that's beneath me. And I think that kind of runs throughout the school. Not only Dodge, I think the whole university is still very much like that. So I would say that that's one of the things that attracted me to Chapman has kept me here. I think I've had opportunities to go other places, and frankly, I'm not really interested in doing that. So
Pavel or Dan, do you guys want to add to that?
Yeah, I think I have the same sort of feeling as Mike. Is I've loved working with the students. I came back here in '98, and we were the little film school that could, and we sort of have retained that identity. We're always looking to improve the school. We're always looking to help the students. We're always looking to dream big, and then to see those dreams on the screen. One of the things that I found most gratifying is, is particularly meeting students when they're just coming here as a dreamer, like, wow, I want to do these things, and I need to find my people. And so a lot of our students have found their people here. So that the idea of collaboration and working together towards a common goal has been a principle for Dodge College since I've been here.
Yeah, I've been here the shortest of my colleagues. This is my 4th year at Dodge, and I came over here from the film school in Prague. It's one of the oldest film schools in the world. And one of the things you notice if you have an overview of film schools is that there's certain centers around the world where you can tell that's where things are at, that's where it's happening. And this is one of those places that has that spirit about it. You can tell that everyone is here is excited about being here. They're contributing to the environment. They're passionate about it. They're really excited about what their dreams are. They're really excited to learn new things and really excited to meet new people and to work together at those. So definitely this is one of those world centers of cinema, as I like to call them. And I think Dan's right also that it still has that challenger aspect to it. The school I came from is about 80 years old. It's one of the oldest film schools in the world. And there's a couple of film schools here in this area in Southern California that have also have a very long tradition. And this school kind of came out of nowhere 20 years ago. It was a tiny program that sort of kind of burst on the scene. And that's still part of the spirit very much. People really want to prove themselves. People really want to make something great. People don't take anything for granted. People just focus on their work. There's no entitlement. There's just a great spirit. So I think all that kind of fits into the mix of what this school is all about.
Awesome. Thank you, guys. This is for both of you, but I'll start with Dan so we can focus on production versus non-production. But can we talk a little bit about the collaboration? How do we approach, crafting individuals while promoting collaboration between the programs, either on set or just in the curriculum? So I'll start with you, Dan, so you can talk from the production perspective.
Yeah, the production is designed so that everyone comes and gets a sampler. If you're a traditional 4-year student, you come in the first 2 years, you sort of do a little bit of everything. You take a course in editing or a course in cinematography, directing, sound design, production design, and then after 2 years, after you sort of sampled it all, you declare an emphasis within production. And so you get to meet people, you get to learn those different roles, and then when you get to the advanced productions, you work in those roles. So the cinematographers shoot, the sound designers sound design, directors direct. And at that time too, in what we call our advanced production class, a lot of the other students will work together. So creative producing, screenwriting. In the AP class, it's required that you shoot a script that's been written by someone other than yourself. So those that direct get a sense of interpretation. And then some of the underclassmen will work on those projects as well. And I think really one of the big lifebloods of the university is production and just that sense of community that you get on set. But then those collaborations, those experiences that you have on set extend throughout the rest of the curriculum. And so people really learn from each other as much as they learn from the school as well. The other sort of big aspect of Chapman is that we're very well equipped. I sometimes hang out with my colleagues at UCLA, and they say, what's it like working at Chapman where the streets are paved with gold? And I said, well, the streets aren't really paved with gold here, but we do call our equipment room the gold room. That's where you can get industry standard tools of the trade, and we're always working with some of the most advanced technology on the planet.
Awesome. Michael and Pavel, how do we build that into our curriculum? And maybe you guys could talk a little bit about the breakdowns of the program.
Yeah, that's a good question. I mean, I think Dan kind of touched upon it. I think the assumption is always that people are going to work collaboratively. We always point out that collaboration is not, something that people intrinsically kind of have. You have to work at it. I mean, there's, you talk to some of the great filmmakers, not only are they collaborative, but they'll talk about how it's something you have to kind of develop. It's a skill, I think, for a lot. Some people have it kind of naturally, but others don't. So a lot of the classes, what they're designed to, especially as you move, first you kind of learn the fundamentals. So it's kind of a very broad education. And as it specializes, the expectation is that you will team up with other people and you will kind of basically get to practice what you've learned hands-on. That's always important, the hands-on component, but within that one area, that discipline. And by the time I think you get to your junior year, you've kind of practiced just about every one of the major disciplines in a very kind of real situation, meaning on a set and an advanced production, and then you kind of decide what you're going to do. And for your junior, senior year, you kind of hone those skills, both further developing them, I think, kind of conceptually in the classroom, but also applying them on projects in the field in kind of the real world. So, and our whole role, I think we're kind of like a studio. When people ask me, how does this place work? I said, well, yes, it's a school, but it's a studio. What we're trying to do, what we're always doing, we're not trying to do, is establish as many kind of these connections as possible, get people to facilitate, we're facilitating the collaboration as much as possible.
Pavel, do you have anything to add?
Sure, I'll expand that a little bit. So Michael said we're not just a studio, we're a school, and it's true. We're not just a conservatory, which is another way of describing our type of education. Conservatory kind of implying that everyone is focused on some kind of hands-on work, and a lot of that hands-on work is not only in depth, but it's collaborative. It's people learning specific skills and learning how to unite those with other people's skills and build something together. So a lot of it is practice-based, but that's not the only aspect of our education. The other dimension of that is that we're part of a liberal arts university, and a really strong one. We're not just one of America's most famous film schools, but we're part of a growing national level university, where students are also encountering the whole breadth of knowledge that is possible within a university. So a lot of our students, for instance, expand. Everyone's required to have a minor or something called a cluster, which is it's kind of like a mini minor at the very least. But our students tend to be ambitious here. It's a kind of an ambitious culture. So many students here at Dodge also decide to double major. And the double major is not just within our college, but within the other colleges of the university. So they also pursue other academics, and they really broaden their horizons, and they really challenge themselves academically. So it's another level to what we do here.
That was the perfect segue, Pavel, because my next question was a lot of questions that I get from prospective students is how stressful is our curriculum? Are they going to be not sleeping? I think maybe this is a parent's question too, but how busy are they? Can they double major? Are they sleeping on weekends? Talk a little bit about how stressful our curriculum is.
That's a great question. And I think the firsthand knowledge of that might be with Dan, because Dan is also not just a professor here, but also a parent of a current student.
Yeah, actually, my daughter attends Dodge, and she's in the editing emphasis in production. And that's one of the wonderful things about Chapman is that there are so many opportunities here, from being on set to the guests that come to international experiences. She came for production, but she found, she's now a junior, that this year she got an interest in documentary. And so we had a program called Community Voices, which funds, it's a year-long process, and they provide funds to make documentaries. And they do that in groups and collaborations. So she's found that to be sort of a passion for it. I find that most of our students really just love to be on set. And so really we're always vying for their attention by trying to get the best guests possible. So they might say, well, this weekend I'll stay and watch or go to a screening of a film from an Academy Award winning director rather than going to set in Griffin. So you really, you need to navigate your time. You can every weekend be on a set if you want to, and many of our cinematographers do. But there's also a great intellectual life, and so providing balance between those is very important. So it's rigorous, there's a lot to do, but it definitely is manageable. Some of our students do double major, but that does take some time. We also had one of my students just a few years ago, a guy named Tom Teller, created a double major. He stayed an extra year and got a degree in business in addition to film. And now he's opened up Frame 48 Productions. He's been doing music videos for Muse and actually created an endowment or a fund to actually give back to students here at Dodge. So he funds a Frame 48 award for production students to help folks as they go through.
Yeah, Michael, do you want to add a little bit?
Yeah, I think that, I think that school is always to a certain degree stressful. I think, do we add to that stress? I don't think so. I think that if anything, the collaborative kind of environment we've created, and it's also an extremely supportive environment. So there's none of this. I'd like to think that there isn't too much competition among the students. I think that when you come to our school, we can actually tell a directing student or an editing student or a sound design student how many projects they're going to do, which, I think takes the stress off. There's kind of an idea, there's a clear idea problem of where you're headed. There's also the opportunity in terms of making choices, of deciding which area, and sometimes there's a little bit of stress in that. But I think there's a lot of opportunities early in the curriculum for students to make decisions about, we offer them opportunities to kind of discover different areas of, not just film, any, PRA, television, screenwriting, that, that there are, even within screenwriting, there are different areas that you can go into television, you can go into short form. So, we provide our students with those types of opportunities that make the decision-making process a lot easier. And I think also the mentorship of the faculty and the support staff and faculty, I must say, it's not just faculty, because we rely tremendously on our staff, and our staff is very wonderful and supportive. So, I think that that's one of the reasons why a lot of our students have, maintained great memories of this. I mean, again, I'm in touch with a lot of the alums, and I know Dan knows a lot of them too. And, most of them, I'd say the great majority, have a very fond memory of their time here. It wasn't this kind of like, stressful nightmare. They kind of enjoyed it. I think we also focus on, yes, it's serious work, but you have to enjoy it. If it's your passion, you have to enjoy it. I'm not going to say it's fun, but there is, when you're doing something creative and you're doing something you're passionate about, it tends to take the stress out of it too.
Awesome. Pavel, I have a question for you. Can you talk a little bit about our study abroad and travel courses? So do most of our students do travel abroad? What kind of travel courses did we offer? Just an overview, a little bit about that.
Okay, great. Wonderful question, because it's such an important aspect of what you can do at a university, and Chapman offers a lot of opportunities like that. So we've been talking about a lot of what you can be doing here at Chapman, and but actually we do have significant opportunities to go abroad, and even in our most demanding curricula, which often are the film production ones or the creative producing, not to say that the other ones are not also very packed and work in lockstep, students can, if they're careful, find a way to leave a semester out and use that to go to one of our study abroad programs, which literally are anywhere around the world. And we have an office which creates those liaisons and allows students to study at universities around the world. But I think one thing that's unique about Chapman, and which is a great opportunity, which everyone has time to do, is we have travel courses. So either during the summer, we have shorter summer semesters, or during something called interterm, which is the month of January, between the fall and spring semester. You have the short 4-week semester, which some students use to catch up on classes, but other people use it for travel classes. Students can travel with a professor who has devised a program which is not just interesting in their field and providing extra information and extra skills, but also going to another country. So for example, we have professors leading trips to London and Paris, exploring the film industry there. We have a professor who every summer, she takes students to the Cimera Trovato Festival in Bologna, Italy, which is the premier festival of restored cinema. We have a professor of TV who has been taking students to the Greek islands, visiting 3 small islands, on each one doing a small adaptation of a Greek myth as a new film or TV project. So we have very creative professors, very knowledgeable professors, and when you happen to have an opportunity to travel with one of them anywhere, some go to Costa Rica, some go to Cuba, it's really all the places on the globe are open to us. It can be a really fantastic opportunity.
Awesome. So I'm going to ask the biggest question that I think might be on everyone's mind is, how are our plans for production during COVID? I'll let Dan start, and then I'll ask Michael and Pavel about our transition to remote.
Yeah, we spent a lot of time planning for production during the time of COVID, and we've come up with a plan in conjunction with the university to allow productions to restart. We actually just had our first shoot this past weekend, which went very successfully and safely. But the plans for COVID for our dance productions is to mirror sort of the industry guidelines. So they involve testing before everyone gets to set. Everyone needs to have a test. There's a COVID compliance monitor that manages social distancing, hand washing, disinfecting, all of those sorts of things. We keep the crews small and nimble. So we have a maximum of 12 people and 4 cast members. And so we've also provided additional funds to help cover the cost of those additional measures. So we're proceeding safely and cautiously. This fall we'll be ramping up, and we expect that we'll be in full swing back in spring, again with these safety monitors and precautions in place as long as they're necessary. We're actually looking at hiring an additional person who would be a COVID compliance officer for the entire Dodge College across all of our programs. And we're also sort of managing the space here in class as we transition to hybrid learning for the near future.
Thank you. Michael and Pavel, do you want to talk about our transition to virtual and how we're phasing back?
Yeah, I'll start and then Pavel can pick up. Well, I think for as every school probably in the world, it was quite a challenge back, I think it was March 12th or 13th, we will not forget. It was very abrupt, but I must say I was extremely impressed by how resourceful and adaptable our faculty was. I can't say that it was, what they designed was perfect, because a lot of them had never taught online. A lot of them, to be honest, I had never heard of Zoom before either, or maybe I used it once before. But many of our faculty did not know what Zoom was. Some had actually taught online, so they kind of had a leg up on us, but they gave us good advice. So that was a learning experience, I think. And I think it was a learning experience for everyone. I taught a course, actually I teach a course once a semester, and it actually went well once I resolved the tech issues. Was I completely happy with it? No, I think that the biggest issue with online learning is maintaining the engagement, the attention of the students. I think that's a challenge, but I don't think because it's online it's impossible. I don't really believe that. I just think you have to change the way you teach. A lot of it has to do with flipping the classroom, giving them more material before you meet for class, and then what happens actually in the quote unquote class session, the online class session, is more of a discussion, and you engage them that way. And a lot of our faculty have done that, so it was kind of nice to have the summer to be able to adapt. I think our faculty did a very good job, and I assume most schools they did that. They did a lot of kind of their own research. The university provided resources on how to teach, because at the time we weren't sure what was going to happen. Became clear, I think, about halfway through the summer that we were going to be online. with the possibility of going back in person / hybrid. So we started out the semester, I taught a class again. It's actually going very well. And I've talked to a lot of faculty and students, and they seem, in general, pretty happy. Obviously, everyone wants to be back in person. The challenge is the hands-on courses. So some of them we've actually postponed. We had a lot of meetings during the summer to figure out what does the curriculum look like. And I think we judiciously moved some of the classes to the spring, potentially interterm, depending on what that's going to look like. And then with the plan for some of the hands-on courses to offer workshops as soon as possible in person. And now we are transitioning back as of today. This is I think Dan and I are at school right now speaking to you. And there are some grad courses and undergrad courses are going to be probably in 2 weeks if all goes well. But the focus is very much on the more hands-on courses, some of the courses we've left online. So we're going to be kind of in a hybrid world, I think, for the rest of the semester, not knowing exactly what's going to happen in the spring. But I think we're learning a lot. I mean, I think we're educators, so not only do we teach, but we learn from our experience. And it behooves us to learn from our experience. So I found this experience to be very interesting. I think the most interesting thing is actually what Dan touched upon, kind of the parallels with the industry. I'm a sound design person. And I just went to a big conference that they did online. It was basically for people doing post-production sound, or actually even production sound, talking about how the industry is adapted to remote, and they've done extremely well. And the question I think that I walked away with it that got raised every once in a while is, wow, this is working really well remote. Why would we go back to some of the practices? And I've been teaching this actually. I think my last class I brought in examples that I picked up in the conference about how there's definitely some of the stages of the post process are being now done remotely and done very successfully remotely. And there's, I think, going to be a kind of decentralization of the whole post process. And it applies to editing too. I talked to an editor who's editing from home, doing what we're doing here, which is remote control of computers. Very successfully, and I think it's, again, we're all learning from this, but we have to teach it too. I think it's important that our students learn from this experience just the same way we are. So.
Absolutely. Pavel, do you want to add anything?
Yeah, or Dan.
Yeah, I'd just like to say that the hybrid approach has really been very successful. We've just reopened our facilities, and the experience is a little bit different. Because for safety, like if we go into an editing room, we now only allow one student to be in the editing room. But they're kind of adapting in the way that I've noticed my daughter was doing before even COVID happened, which is I'd be talking to her and there'd be another one of her friends on her phone. She'd be talking with them as if they were in the room. And so that sort of communication and collaboration will still happen with someone there at the physical controls. And then also we've made investments to make our computing power available by remote as well. So it's long been sort of the stream to work where you are on whatever device that you are utilizing. And that's sort of now becoming a real reality because of COVID.
Yeah, I mean, I agree with what my two colleagues are saying. I think everyone's looking forward to getting back fully. I definitely hope that when all of you here that we're speaking with today, when you begin your college careers, that it will be fully on campus again. But it will be interesting to see what kind of remains from what we've learned in these past, this past couple of months. And one thing that's probably going to still remain is, we have an open door policy with our professors. You can come to their office and talk to them, but I bet you'll have more opportunities to kind of have one-on-one through professors because of Zoom meetings are becoming more standard. So not only can you grab them when they happen to be in the office, but you can have a chat at another time. It's the same with our guests who come into school. We have a lot of guests from the industry who come in, but the traffic in LA is not the best always, and not everyone always has time to kind of like come for the dinner and then go to the class, which is part of the ritual, and it's a fun one. But some people might literally only have that 30 minutes or that hour to visit. And what we've noticed is that our guests like to come in that way as well. So I think we'll continue to see that. And back to the study abroad question that Priscilla was talking about, I could probably imagine that in the future, if some of you take a semester abroad and you're in Barcelona or Tokyo, wherever you choose to go, you might do one of your classes back at Chapman online, just to kind of stay connected with the school. So, so definitely we're kind of, learning as we're going along and always kind of taking what's best and tinkering with that and getting rid of what doesn't work. That's part of the process of having a university and having a college is we're always kind of adapting as we go along and learning as we go forward.
Thank you. I have one last question for you guys, and I know someone asked it in the Q&A, so I'll just throw both questions together. What advice would you give prospective students? How important is a portfolio? What are we looking for in prospective students? What makes a good fit for Dodge?
Yeah, I would say, it's about storytelling, I think, and that's for absolutely every one of our degree programs. I'm a product of a liberal arts education. I studied something called semiotics, which was it's critical theory. And I always felt, even then when I was writing papers, I was telling stories. So even a film studies student, number one, you're studying films that tell stories, but I think also just in writing a scholarly essay, you are telling a story. There's a beginning, a middle, and end. You're making an argument, it's slightly different, but there's the same kind of expectation. You're trying to engage your reader. And so that's the most important thing, be as original as possible, be as authentic as possible. But I would say also, yes, a lot of our students, for example, want to be in the film production program, but the world, the industry is changing, and we're changing with it. And the film production program is actually at some point going to merge very soon with the television program. So we're creating a new program. And that's a reflection on the world, the film industry, the media industry as it is. They're blurring all the boundaries. So if you end up coming here in broadcast journalism and do documentary, it's not all that different. I don't think you're going to get a solid education. You're going to be a visual storyteller. You might be doing it slightly differently. But I would kind of explore all the options and be open to them. I think that that's very important. And I don't only say that to, to people who might not get into our film production. Say that to my production students. I say, look, you're not, the narrative film, feature film, that is, I'm not saying it's the past, but how many of those get made compared to a series or these short format kind of webisodes or whatever that appear on the internet? Very few. So most of the work out there isn't even on feature narratives. And so explore, keep your options open. I think that's extremely, extremely important.
Dan or Pavel, do you want to jump in?
I'd agree with Mike. It's about storytelling and learning to tell the stories. I know when we're looking at admissions, we do look very carefully at the portfolio and the writing samples. So we really want to help you find your voice while you're here. I know you hear that a lot at different universities, is finding your voice. But in addition to finding your voice, it's also having the confidence to use it. So not being afraid to speak up and express an opinion. That's really what we're looking for, is that you have something to say, and that you're saying that in a way that seems truthful.
Pavel, do you want to jump in?
Sure. It's obviously applying to college is a big commitment, and it's a lot of work, and it can be stressful. But it sounds a bit cliche, but you have to be yourself, because that's the best person you can sell on that application. We're not looking for robots when we're going through those hundreds and hundreds of applications. We're always looking for people that kind of stand out as authentic, and we believe that everyone is authentic. So if you have the confidence, as Dan was saying, to express yourself authentically, don't worry if you don't have all the gizmos or the gadgets at your disposal when you're applying to school. All you need is a pen and paper, basically, or the computer that you're writing on. We're looking for people that are excited, that are passionate, that have some kind of point of view, that are not afraid to express their opinion, that are enthusiastic about working with other people, and that are willing to explore. That's really what sticks out to us when we look at an application. And if someone just happened to have the ability to get their hands on all the best equipment and make an application film, which is dazzling, but in the end could have been made by almost anyone else, anywhere else in the world, then we don't really have anything to judge. We don't know what to do with it, because we're like, we don't know who this person is. So don't be confident in who you are and why you want to go this path in your life. And we'll be receptive to that, and we welcome that.
Steven, I'll let you jump in. I know you're not allowed to be in the admissions process, but if you could give someone advice on just applying to film school and, you know, something that they can strive for, what would you say?
You know, I think a lot of students, I created 2 mentorship programs for kids from disadvantaged backgrounds, and many of them have been just through extraordinary things, but didn't want to write them because people feel that they should put on some kind of front. And actually what we're looking for is the personal. And the stories about you that show us you have some emotional life as well as an intellectual life. So tell us something that's happened to you. Tell us about the things that you think you'd like to bring to the screen. Look for what is different in you. Don't try and imitate somebody else.
Thank you. I have one last question, and I'll let everybody take a turn because I think this one is important. But what makes you the most proud of being part of our Dodge community? And we'll start with Dan, just because you're at the top. Dan, go for it.
Well, for me, it's always seeing the growth of our students from when they come here to when they leave. And you know, as I've become an administrator, I don't have as much interaction at the very beginning. But I used to, when I first came here, I would teach the very first class in production that folks would take, intro to visual storytelling. And then I also did senior thesis. And now I've sort of at senior thesis level. It was really great. I'd see those first projects they would make, and then I'd go away and we'd talk about things as they go through the program, but then I'd see them come back at the senior level and all the things they've learned and all the experiences and all the growth, the personal growth. And oftentimes it's not necessarily that they've made the best possible film. It's just how much they've learned and how much they've grown as a person. That's what I find really, really important.
Michael, do you want to jump in?
Yeah, you know, I think it's definitely when I run into alums up in LA. I run into them very often, and you know, some of them I barely remember, but I always ask them what they're doing, and I'm always really impressed by what they're doing, and also how happy they seem. You know, happy they seem. You know, I think a lot of our students arrive here wanting to be the next, you know, feature film director. I mean, that's kind of normal. That's a great aspiration. But what I love is that I meet these people that are 5, 6, 7 years out, and they're editors, and they're very happy doing what they're doing. And even if they studied directing, they're doing something completely different. There's Scott Peters lives down the street from me, and I see him once a month. And I'm still not quite sure what he does, but he does this fascinating thing where he does art direction, but it's everything. There are bands in Japan that hire him. They fly him out, and he designs the backgrounds for their concerts. And then he does commercials, and then it's just stimulating what he does. And he was a great director, and I think he still wants to direct. He's still young. But just like, you know, talking to him, it's just like how exciting it is. And I realize a lot of it is, you know, and I know when I've asked him, and a lot of it is what he learned at Chapman. You know, it opened up this world of possibilities, I think, and he took advantage of it. So I think that's what excites me probably the most about our school.
Pavel?
Yeah, so one of the things that excites me, so we have an environment, we have quite a few international students, and when they come here, you know, maybe their English is not perfect. They have very good grammatical skills, but they're not completely up with the lingo. But as they go on, they pick that up as well. And one of the phrases I always remember, it happens quite often that international students say, usually it happens like when their final project is being presented, and there's a big audience there, and they're up there with their collaborators and their friends, and they say a phrase I know they didn't know before they came to this country, which is, "You got my back." And I feel like that's kind of what they got out of this place, that they got a great team of people to help them realize their dreams, and they had each other's back. And I think that's really a great quality of this place.
Steven, I know you're new, but what makes you proud to be part of our community?
Well, it's very easy to answer because I plunged into this job at the beginning of COVID. And I was in the meetings at the very highest level of the university with the president, with the deans, with the chief financial officer. And in those meetings, right from the beginning, there was a sense of community. The deans immediately gave up 10% of their salaries, so we didn't have to lay people off. Nobody was laid off. We created funds for financial assistance for the students. And this, as you know, has lasted months. You could see in crisis, we were together and caring. And that ripples from the very top of the university all the way through. And when I was in my previous job, we would hire interns. They always had the best reputation because they were caring and collaborative. And so, you know, I was thrown into the deep end. I was thrown into a raging sea, and we were all holding hands. And that's the way I think students will feel when they're here. That is what makes this place unique.
Yeah, thank you. I will share last and then I'll wrap it up, but I have to agree. I love the community. I love that I can come up with crazy ideas like this Meet the Deans panel. I know everybody's very busy, but I really appreciate that we all jump in, staff, faculty, they're all willing to help. I hope that transpired through this Meet the Deans, but if any of our prospective students want to connect with us, want to connect with our student staff, we're always here to help. We're hosting tours twice a day, so we know we would love to have you in person, but we also welcome you to connect with us in other ways. So with that, I will conclude our Meet the Deans panel. I will follow up with all of you for the masterclass that Stephen mentioned, so I will send that information to you guys. And again, if you have any other questions, we're happy to connect with you. But thank you so much for being here today, and we hope you apply to Dodge College.
Bye, everyone. Thanks, Priscilla, for putting this all together. Bye-bye.
No problem.